Welcome back, everyone. In our final community conversation, we are joined by Sarah Cooperman, who is the Executive Director of the Rockfish Wildlife Sanctuary. Hi, welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me. Great to be back.
All right, so my first question to you is, can you tell us about the June Patient of the Month?
Yes, our patient of the month this month is a beautiful eastern rat snake, patient number 25-356, who came to us in quite a literal tangle last Friday. He arrived in a whole bunch of garden netting. So his rescuer did the exact right thing. She noticed there was a snake in her netting, so she cut a wide berth around the snake. She did not try to free him herself, and she put the whole bundle in the box and brought him straight to us at the sanctuary, where our team got to work trying to free him.
Well, that sounds like a great effort. So tell me a little bit more about the type of care that this eastern rat snake received and why it was so important to follow through that protocol.
Yeah, so the first thing was getting all that netting off, which was pretty tedious. It was a 2-rehabber job. We had someone holding the snake still and covering his face with a towel so he was not as stressed out. And the other person was going to work, getting those scissors in there, bandage scissors, and removing the netting. But from there, we were hoping he'd be okay enough to go straight back to the wild. Unfortunately, he was in rough shape. He was really dehydrated. His skin was super dry and stretchy, and his eyes were cloudy, so he was having a rough time. So we decided to admit him and keep him on to rehydrate him with all sorts of wonderful things like subcutaneous fluid therapy and warm water soaks every day. He had access to fresh water, and he even ate a meal at one point. So he very eagerly gobbled up a mouse, which was a great sign for his healing.
That is great to hear. Not for the mouse.
Not for the mouse, no.
Definitely. Okay, so I think we can see, how this netting, why is that such a danger to snakes, and what are some alternatives for some gardeners to explore?
Yeah, so garden netting can cause animals to get stuck in it. It can also end up cutting into an animal's skin and leave wounds. So if people do want to use netting, we recommend that they switch to something like an open weave texture like coconut fiber or wheat straw netting, or better yet, get rid of that flexible netting and instead use chicken wire or netting that's been stretched taut.
And I think, snakes often can get a bad rap. I think a lot of people are guilty of being a little afraid of some snakes, maybe
unfortunately.
some stereotypes around that. But tell me a little bit about the role that snakes play in our ecosystem and why that's so important.
Yeah, snakes are so essential to our environment. It's a shame we don't celebrate them more because they deserve it. They eat a ton of rats and mice, but they also end up eating ticks, mites, and fleas that are on that mouse. So they are has now been released back to the garden that he with his rescuer so he can eat summer long and help that gardener keep her veggies safe.
Great to hear. So, for the final question, what is next for your patient of the month?
Yeah, so he was released yesterday, and the rescuer actually removed all of the garden netting that was left in her garden before we brought him back. So he should have a very safe and free summer.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing this about this eastern rat snake, and we will join you after the break. Thank you.